right, folks, it's Friday. Yes, it's Friday, and we're on the home stretch because it's the end of Christmas week. I hope you all enjoyed yourselves. If it's not Christmas when you're watching this, I still hope you're enjoying yourself. And here we are. It is time for the top 10 roguelike deck builders. Hopefully you watched all of the other videos, and if you didn't, you should go back and watch them right now. Click like and subscribe, etc. Now, the roguelike deck builder, as far as I'm concerned, is a genre that was basically invented by Slay the Spire. Yes, there were some previous games like Magic the Gathering Chandelier from the 1997, which I mentioned, but that was basically Magic. It had some roguelike elements, but it was basically, Magic the Gathering as a game. You did build up a deck in it. So you could argue that there was a kind of spiritual godfather in that 1997 microprose. But essentially, the modern roguelike deck builder that we know was, I think, invented by Slay the Spire. And as I did with the colony management sims yesterday, I want to identify 3 factors that make a killer roguelike deck builder. What are we looking for? So the first thing I think that a roguelike needs is a basic loop. We can call it the loop factor. You go on a run, okay? There's basically, you play a game, you start, you're going well, something kills you, you die, you have to start again, okay? And that is what you call the loop. But every time you do the loop, you get a little bit better, or you may have collected an extra card, or you may have added to your deck, or you may have added some skill or unlocked something that makes the next run that little bit easier, perhaps. And that is basically what we'll call the loop factor. And a very important thing for a roguelike deck builder to get right is that basic loop is fun, right? There has to be a certain amount of randomness in there, or variability at least. But basically, you know what you're getting per run, but you want to do it again. You failed and you want to do it again. Number 2 is the synergy factor. That is, when you're building up these cards, how well the certain cards go with each other, and is there a joy in discovering those synergies, okay? Now, I think, there's always guides available. You can always read up, like, how to get the greatest synergistic deck or whatever. But part of the joy of these games, for me at least, is trying to discover these synergies for yourself. Discovering strategies that work, or at least work for you and your character on that particular run. Which 2 or 3 cards am I looking to get into my deck and get into my hand so I can play them over and over again. You're building up little engines. The synergy factor. And this is really the joy of getting that deck, It's not necessarily about the total number of cards in your hand. As anybody who's played Slay the Spire knows, one of the most powerful things that you can do in a deck builder is remove cards from your deck. You actually want fewer cards, so you can predict, you can always have your best cards out. So yes, the synergy factor is the second one. And the third thing I would say is the variety factor, the sheer number of different cards, the different stuff to collect, that feeling that there's still another 100 things that you can unlock. The variety factor. All right, so when I'm going to be talking about these games, I'll talk about how much of these things each of the games has. So without further ado, let's get on to the list. Now, before we get going, I know there's a Steam sale on at the moment, and I know it's Christmas, so these videos are going to encourage you to spend all your money on Steam games. Well, don't do that. Buy a course at the academic agency. Buy it now. I know you're going to buy the Steam games instead, but I just thought I'd slip this in there. All right, let's get going. All right, at number 10, we have got Luck Be a Landlord. Now, is this a roguelike deck builder? There's no cards, AA. How can it be a roguelike deck builder? Well, the thing is, there's all sorts of discovered synergies in Luck Be a Landlord. it seems like it's random, and there is a certain degree of randomness there, but there's a huge amount of variety in this game. There's a great loop. There's a great kind of, oh shit, that didn't go well. I need to play again. I need to play again. I need to play again. In fact, it's as addictive as some of the games higher up on the list. It has great variety. It has the great kind of hidden synergies in there, and it's got a great loop. It is a perfect roguelike deck builder, and we're starting strong. Luck Be a Landlord is better than you think. Number 9, similarly, there are no cards, AA. Is it really a roguelike deck builder? This looks like an anime auto battler. But Backpack Battles does have the loop, where you play, you fail, you play again. You play, you fail, you play again, the loop. It has got the discovered synergies of the different things that you can fit together in your backpack, okay? That's your deck, basically, the stuff you're putting in the backpack and how they all fit together. And it has great variety. There are lots of different things to collect. There are lots of different weapons and potions, and there are 4 different classes. Tons of stuff to discover in the game. Great roguelike deck builder, Backpack Battles. And trust me, each of these games in itself are like crack cocaine. Luck Be a Landlord and Backpack Battles, easily between them, is a week's worth of gaming. Number 8 is Wild Frost. Now, Wild Frost has got a ton of stuff to unlock, huge variety. It's challenging, it's hard, but there's that loop again. Every time you die, your character's name gets crossed off a list and a new one gets added on. And you go again, and then you want to go again, and then you want to discover new synergies and collect new cards and see how these companions go together. Wild Frost is good. It really is good. And it's a great example of the genre, Wild Frost. It has a nice aesthetic style, kind of slightly different mechanics to some of the others that take a while to learn if you're used to playing the other ones, but definitely it's on my recommended list. Number 7... as I mentioned before, a little bit talky, but if you can forgive the extraneous yakking that goes on, Knock on the Coffin Lid is a deep roguelike deck builder, lots of different cards. It has a fantastic loop, and the loop is built into the storyline, because the whole story is that your character has died and been brought back by a kind of sinister mage or necromancer. You're not quite sure, and because I still can't beat the end boss, I haven't really discovered what the story is with that dude yet, but I don't think it takes a genius to figure out that he's not a good guy. But anyway, lots of different things it scores highly. The loop is great. There's lots of different cards and abilities. There's lots of great synergies and different synergies, and in fact, each of the different characters have different ways that they play as well. Very good game. Knock on the Coffin Lid. This genre, I'm telling you, there's a bit of a craze on it at the moment, but there are a lot of the best games on the market at the moment are being made in this genre. This genre, and the one I talked about yesterday, the Colony Management Sim, an absolute renaissance in those two. Number 6 is Across the Obelisk. I ploughed over 70 hours into this game a couple of Christmases ago. Tons of different characters, tons of different cards, lots of different synergies, lots of things to unpack, and a great loop, a loop that makes you want to play over and over and over again as the 70 hours I ploughed into it goes. It's got good aesthetics, it's got decent, it's really good. And like I'm saying, there are no weak games on this top 10. All of them are good. Now we're getting up to the upper echelons, and number 5 is truly a unique game, not just in this genre, but period, and that is Inscription, which is a game that needs to be played by every serious gamer at least once. You need to experience it, at least get through the first act. I'm currently stuck on Act 3, and due to various distractions and busyness and so on, I haven't been able to finish it yet myself, but while the experience lasts, it is fantastic. It really is. It has atmosphere. It has a kind of sense of the uncanny. It's got an odd kind of meta humor as well in Inscription. I immediately bought all of the other games that this developer has made. I haven't played them yet, but I immediately bought them because I was like, this dude is making interesting games. The designer of Inscription. He's a guy called Daniel Mullins, and his other games look wacky as well. Certainly worth checking out. Number 4, as I mentioned on my list yesterday, I've only got 10 hours in it so far, but Ernoth Chronicles, I'm telling you, I am earmarking as an all-timer. It is huge. It has got lots and lots and lots of things to do. I've barely scratched the surface. It has got great loop. It's got, the other thing in it is that unlike many other roguelike deck builders that make you start again, this one you can kind of die and pick up where you left off, so makes it a little bit more RPG-like. But it's interesting. It really is an interesting game. Lots of depth, plays a little bit differently in terms of the mechanics, which takes a little bit of learning and getting used to when you start. But that's terrific. And if I was to predict which of these games I'll still be playing in a year's time, Ernoth Chronicles is high up on that list. Number 3 is Monster Train, one of the greats in this genre. It is a little bit wackier than the others. It may have slightly less variety, maybe ever so slightly less than some of the others here, but it's got a fantastic loop. It's a 10 out of 10 on the loop. It's extremely fun to play, and it's got different ways to winnow your deck down, to remove cards, to splice cards together, to create massive overpowered combos, hidden synergies that you didn't know were there, new different ways to play. It's just a whole lot of fun. Monster Train, I think, is close to perfection in this genre, even if it lacks the polish of some of the others. You know, it's I say that, I mean, it looks great. It kind of looks polished, but it's not as elegant as the number 1 game, which we'll get to in a second. Number 2 is the game of the year for 2024 that everybody and their uncle is playing. It's Balatro. Talk about a sensation. Basically a game where you cheat at poker, and you have different jokers. You play those jokers. They have synergies between them. You score cards in crazy different ways. You cheat the deck with tarot cards. You change, you'll change a 3 to be an ace and all this sort of stuff. And basically you're building up a deck each time. Balatro may have the best. It's like an 11 out of 10 for the loop factor. You play it, your run comes to an end, you immediately start a new run. Your run comes to an end, you start a new run. It is crack cocaine, right? Oh, I've got a spare 10 minutes. We're going out in 10 minutes. Do I have time for a little run? Do I have time for a danger Balatro before we have to catch the bus or whatever? It is just superlative. And number 1 game in the roguelike deck builder, it is the trope codifier, if you want. It is Slay the Spire, the granddaddy of them all. Now, Slay the Spire may actually have a little bit less in the variety stakes, certainly in terms of like the total number of cards, but what it lacks in that, it makes up for in all of the other things. The elegance, the synergy is 10 out of 10, the synergy factor is 10 out of 10, the loop factor is 10 out of 10, and honestly, you could play it for quite a long time and still not unlock everything as well. I'm not sure if I've unlocked everything in Slay the Spire. I could be wrong, because there's different characters to try, and each of the characters has got a slightly different way they play as well. There's the one with the batteries, and there's the one with the knives, and so on and so forth. So, Slay the Spire is the number 1 roguelike deck builder. I hope you enjoyed this gaming week, a little bit different. Back to business as usual next week, of course. BAU. We love a bit of business as usual, don't we, folks? Hope you are still enjoying your holidays, and I'll see you next week. If you liked this video, be sure to like and subscribe. You can join the channel for thousands of hours of past shows in the archive and hundreds of videos. If you have any questions, you can leave a super chat or a super thanks, and I'll be sure to pick it up during my weekly office hours, which run every Tuesday afternoon. I also provide courses at the academic agency, which I encourage people to buy. Thousands of students now have taken the Trivium to improve their skills in writing, logic and rhetoric. Just 3 of many courses available. Buy it now. But most importantly of all, friends, get out.